The sun rose slowly over the quiet town of Okadu as buses pulled into the dusty motor park. Among the passengers stepping down with bags and suitcases were fresh graduates posted for their national youth service. One of them was Emeka, a young man full of dreams and excitement. Like every other youth corper, he had just finished the orientation camp and was now traveling to his place of primary assignment in a remote village called Ikpanta. Many people had warned him about the place. "Ah, that village," a fellow passenger said while they were on the bus. "Once it gets dark there, nobody moves around. Strange things happen there." Emeka laughed. To him, it sounded like the usual exaggerated village stories meant to scare outsiders. But deep inside, he felt curious. After a long, dusty journey, Emeka finally arrived in Ik. The village looked peaceful, surrounded by thick forests and tall palm trees. Children ran around playing, while elderly men sat under a mango tree discussing village matters. When they saw Emeka wearing the NYSC khaki uniform, they smiled. "Ah, corper, you are welcome," one old man greeted warmly. Emeka was given a small staff quarter behind the village secondary school where he would be teaching. The building was old, but manageable. However, the first strange thing happened that very night. Around 1:30 a.m., Emeka suddenly woke up to the sound of distant drums. Dum, dum, dum. At first, he thought it was a village celebration, but the sound was slow, heavy, almost haunting. Curious, he stepped outside. The night was cold and unusually quiet. The whole village was asleep. Yet the drums continued somewhere deep inside the forest. Suddenly, a voice spoke behind him. "Corper, go back inside." Emeka turned quickly. It was the same old man who welcomed him earlier. "What's happening in the forest?" Emeka asked. The old man's face became serious. "Some journeys are not meant for outsiders." Then he slowly walked away into the darkness. That night, Emeka couldn't sleep. The next day at school, Emeka asked one of the teachers about the strange drums. The teacher lowered his voice immediately. "You heard them?" "Yes," Emeka replied. The teacher sighed. "That means the forest has noticed you." Emeka frowned in confusion. What does that mean? But the teacher refused to explain further. From that day onward, strange things started happening around Emeka. Sometimes he heard footsteps outside his window at night. Sometimes shadows moved near the trees when nobody was there. And every midnight, the drums returned. One evening, while returning from the village market, Emeka noticed something unusual. A narrow hidden path leading deep into the forest. For some strange reason, he felt drawn to it, almost like something was calling him. At first, he ignored it, but curiosity slowly grew stronger. And one weekend, Emeka made a decision that would change everything. "I'll just take a quick walk," he said to himself. With that decision, he stepped onto the mysterious path, and that was the beginning of a journey he would never forget. Or maybe never escape from. The deeper Emeka walked into the forest, the quieter everything became. The birds stopped singing. The wind stopped blowing. Even the sound of his own footsteps felt strange. After about 30 minutes of walking, Emeka suddenly stopped. In front of him stood something shocking. An ancient shrine hidden between massive trees. The place looked abandoned, yet strangely alive. In front of the shrine were objects scattered on the ground. Old NYSC caps, faded khaki uniforms, rusty name tags. Emeka's heart began to race. These items didn't belong to villagers. They belonged to youth corpers. People just like him. Before he could understand what was happening, the drums started again. Doom, 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 doom. But this time, they were very close. A cold voice echoed from the forest. "You finally came, like the others." Fear rushed through Emeka's body. Slowly, figures began to emerge from the shadows. They were wearing old NYSC uniforms. Their faces looked pale, lifeless, almost ghost-like. Lost corpers, people who had taken the same path, but never returned. Imeka's survival instinct kicked in. He turned and ran. Branches scratched his arms as he pushed through the thick forest. But every direction looked the same. The forest had become a maze. The drums grew louder. The shadows chased him. Then suddenly, he remembered something. The old man's warning. Some journeys are not meant to return. With the last strength in his body, Imeka ran blindly toward the direction of the village bell tower he had seen earlier. Minutes felt like hours. Then suddenly, he burst out of the forest and collapsed near the village square. Villagers gathered around him immediately. The old man stepped forward slowly. "You went to the forbidden path," he said. Imeka nodded weakly. "What was that place?" Imeka asked. The old man sighed deeply. "That forest tests the curiosity of strangers. Many corpers before you followed that path, and most never came back. From that day on, Imeka never stepped close to that forest again. But every midnight, the drums still echoed from deep inside the trees, and whenever Imeka heard them, he remembered the truth. Some adventures may look exciting, but some journeys are truly journeys of no return. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and drop a comment to support the channel and let me know if you want more stories like this. See you in the next story.